and you can call me Daisy. Today, I thought we could talk about cleansing. The way I'm going to do that is through a kind of Q&A model. I'm gonna ask questions that you could be asking yourself, that a beginner practitioner could ask themselves, whatever. And I'm gonna answer them the best I can, the clearer I can, clearest. Anyways, so let's get started, I guess. The first question that we're gonna ask ourselves about cleansing is simply, what is cleansing? Well, that's an excellent question. And their answer is simple. Cleansing is spiritual cleaning. Yeah, that can sound kind of confusing. I'm gonna explain. When you clean your home, you get rid of all the physical residues that make it dirty. When you cleanse your home, you get rid of all the spiritual residues that make it dirty. So cleansing is cleaning the energies. It can be applied to spaces, it can be applied to objects, it can be applied to people, or even to your pets. Really, it can be applied to anything. You can cleanse absolutely anything because it's spiritual. You get rid of the energies. You clean them. If it's hard for you to understand, you can compare the energies with dust. You don't want it to be constantly piling around or piling up and leave it there. It's not healthy. Well, energies are the same. Energies, especially negative or old energies, are spiritual dust. They build up. They clog up your environment, and you want to get rid of them. You can also cleanse from positive energies. You can cleanse any energy, really. It's up to you, and up to the method you'll use. So, why should you cleanse? This is the second question, and it echoes the last thing I just said about what it is. Why should you cleanse? Well, you don't want energies to pile up in your home. You don't want them to clog how do you call it? Well, their energy channels, I guess. You don't want them to get clogged. You don't want to get overwhelmed with too much energy piling up that are not relevant to you, nor are they relevant to your space or to your belongings. And good positivity, it cannot thrive and flourish in bad and negative environments. So let's say you have a very poor, dirty soil, like you have a lot of plastic in there, a lot of chemicals, a really bad soil, and you want to put in the most beautiful rose you ever saw. You bought it from the garden store, you put it in your soil, and the rose is already beautiful, So you expect from it to grow beautifully. Yes, but the environment you put it in is bad, is negative, it's gonna kill your plant. Well, with energies, it's the same. If you want to bring in positive, first you need to release the negative. You need to make sure that the environment is fit for the positive energy you're trying to welcome or to bring, to attract. And that calls for another law of energies. You attract what you produce. And think of it as the law of Murphy. Murphy? Yeah, Murphy. If you start your day with bad thoughts, telling yourself the day is gonna be horrible, you don't want to live that day, well, you're conditioning yourself to have a bad day. Whatever you experience during your day, you'll only see the bad of it. And bad attracts bad. So you're negative, you're gonna attract negative events, negative occurrences, and those are gonna build up. And the more you get them, the more you produce them, well, the more you'll attract them. And this is why you need to cleanse and to think about what you attract, how you want to attract it, and why, and what you want to attract to. But I think I already said that. I don't know. So, common misconception about cleansing. Sage. Well, sage itself isn't a misconception, but like, let's take a beginner or any practitioner in the broom closet, and they're like, well, I can't burn thing. How can I cleanse? Or I don't have access to sage. How can I cleanse? You don't need those things. And you probably don't want to use sage, especially white sage, because we call it spiritual bleach. And that's for a reason. Sage will get rid of every energy in the room, or just every energy. It gets rid of everything. It makes the thing you're cleansing empty in a way, or neutral if you prefer that term. Vroom vroom. Bref. And the thing about cleansing is you don't need to put anything on fire in order to cleanse. You don't need to burn sage, you don't need to burn hair bundles, you don't need to burn incense. All those things, they're good, they work for cleansing, they work very well, but they're not the only way to cleanse. And where some people prefer using them when they can, some people don't use them at all. For example, I don't use incense to cleanse. I use it to charge my environment after I cleansed it. But then, how am I supposed to cleanse? Very good question. Any way you want. Yeah, really, as simple as that. Intention is key, and in cleansing too. So, the best way to cleanse, especially if you're in the broom closet, is physical cleaning. Clean your space, or just clean, and do it with the intention of cleaning the energies too. That's as simple as that. You can even make your own cleaning products or enchant the one you have with the intention of cleaning the energies. You can target specifically bad, not bad, negative energies or positive. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can. You can even make it so that everything is gone, every energy, so you can bring in all new. That's a possibility too. You do whatever you want, but the thing is, you don't need sage. All you need is your intention. Clean your space. Some people clean with music. Some people clean with dance, with music. Some people use mists or sprays. Like those little mists you put on your pillow to sleep well with essential oils. Well, you can make one for cleansing. It will work the same way as burning a bundle or incense, and it will work all the same. You can boil some herbs in a pan and let the steam cleanse your space. You can use simply visualization. I don't know how to say that word, but you can use that. You just visualize all the energies you wanna get rid of leaving your space. You can use shouting. A lot of people shout out energy to get rid of them, to release them, to make them go away. You can use moon water. That's what I do for my jewelry and my crystals. I clean them with moon water. You can use yoga or meditation. I think I kind of talked about that in my previous video, self-care. I use yoga as a way to rebalance my energies and release the old and the bad, to make space for the good energy that the day is going to bring me. And yoga is a form of meditation, you know. You can use crystals to cleanse, such as selenite, for example. It's very well known in the world of witchcraft for cleansing. You can use egg cleansing. Those are, well, I don't know them very well, but they're a thing. You can use tea and food. You just enchant what you ingest with the intention to cleanse you too. Well, cleanse. I love to do that with water, like just a simple glass of water that I enchant to cleanse me, and I drink it. And as I drink it, I imagine the water's energy cleaning me, and you know, getting rid of the old and the bad. You're not gonna like that one, but you can use crying as a way to cleanse yourself, because crying helps relieve tension, and it helps relieve everything that's overwhelming you. And as you cry, you can just figure your tears. You can figure your tears as being all the negativity that is in you going away and leaving you. Another way that is good for cleansing, and that is very well known and associated with witches, is sweeping with a besom. This one I made myself, and as you can see, it's not very practical. I cannot clean with it, but it's okay, because all we want to do with the besom is cleanse. You do not touch the floor or the surface you're cleaning. You just swipe, and it gets rid of the energies. And it's pretty. Okay. So, how often should you cleanse? Well, first off, you should cleanse as often as you feel the need to. That is, if you feel like your space needs cleansing, if you feel like it's stuck, clogged, overwhelming, cleanse. And, cleansing can never hurt. You can cleanse on a daily basis when you open your window, because opening your window for half an hour a day helps move the energies around, keep it dynamic, young, and while moving. You can cleanse daily while you do your dishes, while you do daily chores, while you clean yourself. You can cleanse accordingly to the intensity of use of what you want to cleanse. For example, if you have a room that you don't use a lot, well, you don't need to cleanse it a lot, because you're not bringing energies in. Or if you have an object that you use every day, you probably want to clean it every day or every 2 days. But if you have an object that's just sitting there, cleanse it like once a week, once a month, however you feel the need to. And what a lot of practitioners love to do is to have a thorough cleanse of the whole space, themselves, their objects, anything, on a monthly basis. Like, for example, on the new moon, it's like the perfect time to cleanse, because you get rid of the old and you make space for the new. I'm gonna repeat myself a bit there, but next question is, I don't know how to meditate, or I can't meditate. How can I cleanse myself? Well, as I said before, you can do it through daily cleaning, like taking a shower, brushing your teeth, cleaning your hands. You can do it through food, brewing tea to cleanse yourself, drinking a glass of water, or drinking a bottle of water, making food specifically to cleanse. You can do it through dancing, you can do it through singing, you can do it through just listening to music, letting the music cleanse you. You can even use incense, but I don't know, I don't feel like this one would work very well for a person, but you can do it. What else? Yeah, there's a lot of ways, and you can use crystals too. You can brush your hair if you have hair to brush. But really, the most important thing is to figure out what works for you and to making up your own cleansing rituals. So, as for example, I do meditate to cleanse myself, but what I do to cleanse my space is actually physical cleaning. I just add a little touch of magic. I use 1 tablespoon of rosemary and 1 tablespoon of lavender that I ground together. I sprinkle it all over the floor of the space I'm cleaning. And as I vacuum clean, I set out my intention that these herbs will cleanse the space, remove all the negative energies, and protect the space from these energies coming back. What I also do is I make my own cleaning products, and as I use them, I use them to remove the energies. There's a lot of ways to do that. And so about meditation, you don't have to do that. You don't have to know how to meditate and to be good at, or to have 1 hour session meditation per day in order to be a witch or a magic or a practitioner. You don't need that. Some people do it, some people don't. But it's a very hard exercise. It takes time and it takes practice to master. So if you can't do it right now, it's okay. Take your time. Maybe it's just not for you. Maybe it is and you just need more time to practice and get good at it. A little exercise you can do if you're not good at meditation is just laying down on your bed, closing your eyes or not as you wish, taking deep breaths, and after a few breaths, imagine that when you breathe in, you bring in a ball of light that is gonna go through your body and clean it. And as you breathe out this ball of light that is now dark or black or whatever color you feel like you need to expose. And you expel it as you breathe out. You breathe in, you bring in new light again that is gonna clean you. And you breathe out and you expel all the things you don't need anymore. That's how I started cleansing through meditation. Okay, another misconception about witchcraft and witchcraft practices is I can't empty or clean my mind. How am I supposed to cleanse or to do anything? Well, your mind doesn't need to be empty. Quite the contrary. No, you want to be focused on your intention. But if you're focused on your intention, your mind cannot be clear and empty because you're thinking about your intention. Of course, if you're cleansing and you think about a lot of negative things, you think that cleansing isn't even working, well, you screwed yourself. It's not gonna work. But it's not gonna work, not because your mind isn't empty, but because you're producing negative energy and you're doubting your abilities. And if you doubt yourself, it's not gonna work. You can't make a spell and say to yourself, well, it's not gonna work anyways, and then expect the spell to work. Because you told the spell it's not gonna work. Why should it? So keep your intention in mind. Try to focus on that. Try not to think about negative things. It's okay if it comes up. It's natural, it's part of you. But try to stay confident and to keep your intention true. That's the point here. Because intention is key. Okay, another question for broom closet practitioners, or even not broom closet practitioners, is I don't feel comfortable talking loud. Can I still cleanse? Yes, you can. You can still cleanse, you can still make any spell, because intention is key. Talking aloud is a way to physically manifest your intention, so it's gonna make your actions stronger, more powerful. But it doesn't mean that if you don't do it, it's not gonna work. It just means that if you do it, it's gonna work better or stronger. But just keeping in your intention, putting in your energy to manifest that intention, it's enough, and it can work very well. In fact, it does work. A lot of practitioners are quiet ones. Okay, last big misconception and problematic subject of the day. Is smudge cleansing okay? No, it isn't. Because what you're doing is probably not smudge cleansing. Lighting a hair bundle on fire and using it to cleanse yourself or your space, it's valid, but it's not smudging. It's smoke cleansing. Smudging is part of a complex and indigenous ritual from Native Americans, and it's way more complicated than just lighting a bunch of herbs on fire and using the smoke. And unless you're part of that community, or this community taught their ways to you, you're probably not smudging. And calling, lighting some sage on fire smudging, it's actually reducing to that community and that ritual. And also, if you're not part of the community or welcome in there, and you're not actually doing the ritual they are doing, well, it's cultural appropriation. If you just saw on the internet that making hair bundles and burning them to cleanse your space is smudging, it isn't. It's trendy, it works, it cleans perfectly well as any other thing, but it is not smudging. It's smoke cleansing. Now that this is done, we're gonna talk about the precautions you should take when cleansing. First thing, open your windows. You're not destroying the energies, you're releasing them, you're chasing them away. I'm not sure chasing is the right word, but you get the idea. The energies are in, you want them out. In order to get them out, you need to give them a way out. And to do that, you open your windows, you open your door, or any way out, and you make sure they can live by there. Because if you don't, you're just gonna trap energies in your house. And you could cleanse as much as you want, but they won't live. A way to do it about yourself is, for example, when you take your shower, you imagine the energies that you're cleansing yourself from to leave from down the drain. So, ultimately they'll live in your house. They're leaving you in your house, and they're released to the outside world and to the universe. If you have pets or children, or you are asthmatic, or someone in your family is asthmatic, make sure that the cleansing methods you use are safe for them and for you. And in that way, don't directly breathe the smoke from smoke cleansing or incense or sage cleansing, which is smoke cleansing, because it's not healthy. I'm gonna repeat myself. Sage is spiritual bleach, especially white sage. You don't want to use that if you want to keep good energies in. But anyway you cleanse, once you're done, you want to attract positivity back. You want to make sure positivity is settled in, even if you just cleanse from negativity. Fire safety, if you want to cleanse through fire or by burning anything, make sure you know how to put it out. Make sure you have fire extinguishing tools at hand. A way to attract positivity back into your space, for example, is if you just cleansed. When you plan to cleanse, plan to do it on the day you're supposed to water your plants. For example, if you have plants, because when you water your plants and when you pamper for them, you bring in your space positive growing energy, and that's a good thing to bring in after cleansing. A way to bring back positivity after you cleanse yourself is to take care of yourself. Drink some tea, bake some goods. That's good for bringing positivity to your room too, because it smells good. Put on some cream, some makeup, anything that makes you feel good, that makes your space feel good. Music, dance, singing, anything. Well, do that after you cleansed. Okay. A big part of cleansing that is not talked about enough is grounding and protecting. But Daisy, how are grounding and protecting part of cleansing? They're not part of cleansing, but they are a whole. Once you've cleansed, you've left a room, you're open for more energy to come in, and you don't want to get lost in the flow of energy you might attract. You want to make sure you are anchored, that your space, that your objects, that your pets, that your family is anchored, and that you stay in power of the energies that you are working with and bringing in. Because positivity is good, but too much of it isn't. You can get overloaded, you can get overwhelmed, even by positivity and positive energies. And sometimes it's not always good or productive to have too much energy. So just make sure you know what you're doing and you're in control of yourself and of your energies. That's the grounding part. You anchor yourself. Now the second part is protect. You just expel negativity. You don't want it to come back so soon. It's gonna come back because it is part of the universe, it is part of yourself, it is part of balance. Without negative, there isn't positive. They go together. But the point of cleansing is to releasing them. And if you don't want to be constantly, cleansing, like you don't want to have to do big cleansing rituals every day, you want to make sure that the negativity stays at bay, at least for a little time, and that you have control over all energies, the good, the positive, and the bad. And the positive energy and the negative energy. Well, I think I'm done here. I didn't go into much details, but if you want me to show, for example, my recipes for my cleaning products, to go more into depth into how I cleanse, how I cleanse myself, how I cleanse my pet, how I cleanse my pet's litter, how I cleanse my space. So just tell me if you want to see more and more details about what I do for cleansing. I'll see you next week. Leave a like if you want, leave a comment if you feel like it. I love reading comments, it's just so sweet. And subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, I'll see you next week, which I already said. Okay, bye. Pew, pew.